Welcome to Dear Entrepreneur!
We're glad to have you here. So we wanted to step out of the normal recording place and actually meet real business owners.
So in honor of Black History Month, we are checking out Black-owned businesses in So today we're going to check out Sankofa. It's an African-American bookstore slash cafe. It's all that in a bag of chips. So let's check it out.
He's got, 2 floors, probably 4 times as large as the space. And he's a distributor of Black literature. So you go in there, you're like in a candy factory. Books everywhere about people of African descent. 2 floors. Children, history, culture, spiritual, fiction. And so we would go in there and fill our cars full of boxes of Black books, and he'd give them to us on credit. And so then we'd sell the books and pay him. We'd go get some more, sell the books and pay him. And that's how we got started. And, we kind of underestimate these golden nuggets of humans in our community that make this kind of thing possible. But without him, it's called African World Books. Without him, we wouldn't be here. And so he distributes books, around the country to Black bookstores and other, anybody else who wants to buy them, other retailers. So that's how we got started, and we still make sure that he's our fundamental vendor. And then, of course, there are larger, there are the standard suppliers of books that we do as well. Another aspect of what we offer, though, is a place where emerging writers can also sell their books.
Oh, I like that.
And it's many bookstores think of that as a headache, but we embrace it because we know that's the population we serve. We know that Black authors are the ones that we want to thrive. And so working out individual conversations with how we're going to carry a couple of books that you have. Individual vendor relationships are not easy because it takes a lot of time, but it pays off because they not only have their books here to sell, but then they can come and present their book. So they bring their network and any other network that's interested in a book about a woman who grew up in Mississippi and whose father was a deacon, deacons of defense, which were brothers who would be in the grass waiting for the Klan to come, because they knew they were going to come to this house to either burn it down or lynch somebody, because they knew that that day there was an altercation between the man that lived there and some white guy on the street that didn't want him to walk in front of him or didn't respond to him the way that he wanted him to respond. So instead of, you had a choice. You could run to the north or run somewhere, the next county over, or you could stay and fight. And so the deacons of defense had had enough. So that was the actual organization. So who's going to write about that?
Right.
So if a daughter of a Deacons of Defense person, a brother came in here the other day, he said, yeah, I grew up in a house like that. That's what they started in my house. So that's the kind of writer we want to give space to.
Right, those stories will never get out there.
Exactly, I knew nothing.
I had no idea.
Did the name Deacon of Defense, did that whole organization originate before the church thing, or what I'm trying to say
Oh, you
is
mean
who
the
kind
word
of,
deacon?
yeah, so,
No, Deacons of Defense started, and don't quote me on the exact year, but it would have been pre-civil rights or parallel civil rights.
okay.
I think probably early stages, because you had to, it was a defense issue. You may or may not have had organizations, probably not. So, that could carry on these things. So if the NAACP is developing over here and SNCC is developing over here, you still had a house to protect over here. You can't call them up and say, come help me. So the brothers got together. In fact, this one tells the story of how they were going to come for his father. And they were thinking about getting him out, and the mother said, no, we're not running this time. And she called up some other families, and the men came over with guns, and they just waited in the trees and around. And I guess the word got out that they were there waiting for them, and the Klan never came. And by Klan, I'm using that generically to mean whoever was trying to reach them. They may have just been a whole bunch of white people. It may have been other organizations that were doing that, but they never came. So he says that was the beginning of that organization, and they formalized themselves as the Deacons of Defense. And then he said in other counties and other states where they did similar things, they would call themselves the Deacons of Defense, even though they may not have been affiliated with that central organization. But those kinds of responses to our oppression are reasons that we're here. So it may have been your great-grandfather who did that, and you may not even know about it because of the separations, the displacements, the migrations, the drugs, all those things that have intercepted the normal passing on of legacy. So you kind of have to search for it to find out what makes you or what made you. I think that's what we try to do here. The Warmth of Other Suns is a book I would really recommend you to read. It's a book about those kinds of things. What happened in the South and the kind of courageous, calculated response to oppression that makes it possible for us to be here today. And by us, I mean, she cites specific people whose families were migrated from the South, and how they migrated and why they migrated, and then how they flourished despite what they found in the North. And she interviews, I think, like 200 people or something like that. And she chose 3 people whose path she follows. One to California, one to Wisconsin, and one to Chicago. 4 people went to New York, and what happened to them in the South to make them want to leave, how they left, and what happened to them. Absolutely fascinating. And you'll find your story in one of those stories.
That's so cool. But this is new to us. I know, man, for our generation, we don't really get to really touch with this history because in high school, college, we don't learn any of this in history class. We don't get to touch our heritage or anything in history class. That's actually an elective when I was in high school. So you could take it, but they didn't make you take it.
Yeah.
You took just your regular U.S. history. So
I don't even think it was an elective in high school.
a few schools had it as elective, but not many.
Yeah.
So we we didn't learn anything about our heritage or anything.
We didn't either. And my era was like an era where people were fighting for Black studies, and fighting for Black studies meant that you could be jailed. Or the Wilmington 10 is a case in North Carolina where they were the students, high school students, were saying we want Black studies in our school, and that was such a threat, and it became so political that an organization, Ben Chavis's organization, I don't know if you've heard of him. Charlie Cobb, these are people who were, on the cutting edge of civil rights change through the church. The name of their organization will come to me in a minute, but they came down to assist the students and ended up being in prison. 10 of them, plus him. And they languished there for years and years and years. All they were trying to do was create a Black studies program in their school. So even, in my city, in Detroit, we had to protest in the hallway in the high school. No, we want Black studies. It was such a threat. You would call it militant, radical, which is a horrible thing to be called at that time, because then, you're somehow, that means FBI, that means all kinds of...
Young.
Oh, yeah. That young. So we got Black studies, and the first round of teachers were excellent. But then they figured out how to put pansy teachers in there who didn't know W.E.B. Du Bois from Walmart. And so they were really, really, really terrible. But that was how they kind of got around that radical militant idea. So to your point about Black studies not being available in schools, sometimes you'll be lucky and find that it is there as a result of the fight that went on to make sure that it is incorporated. And it may or may not be a quality program. At Howard, there's a couple of really, really good instructors. But other than that, you've got to go out and search for it. You've got to go search.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the store? I know I read online that the name actually comes from a movie, and the meaning, I can't remember what the meaning was, but I know it was like, okay, wow, that's cool.
The meaning, so Sankofa Video Books and Cafe was created in 1998. And it was named after a film that my husband and I made called Sankofa.
Oh, because you guys made the film. That is so cool.
And Sankofa is an Adinkra symbol, Adinkra being a West African group, a system of philosophy that has principles and values and looks at philosophy of ways of looking at the world, and symbols that represent those things. One that's very popular is Gerima, because it means God's everywhere, God prevails. So it's one that has kind of made its way into easier than some of the others, but they're very, very, very interesting principles. Sankofa is one that means the past is important to remember in order for you to go forward. So the symbol is a bird, and the bird she has an egg in her mouth, symbolizing the future, and she's looking backwards to remember where she came from, and one foot's going forward. So encompassed.
All of that.
One cells work.
Who came up with that? I really like that.
No. Yeah, who came up with it? It's a very ancient system of philosophical symbols, very ancient.
And you said it's called
Adinkra, A-D-I-N.
Okay, Adinkra.
Yeah, look it up. We have a book here on Adinkra symbols, and their meaning, things like that. But I think that book gives you a cursory sense of what they mean. The symbols themselves are ancient, so who knows if there's a who. It's sort of like folk tales that over time have been carved by that culture. The culture is very old, pre-colonialism. So in Ghana, you'll find the Negro symbols. You'll find them in the fabric. You'll find them embedded in the architecture. You'll find them in art, various things. But it's pre-boundaries. Those boundaries were created by Great Britain. When Europe divided up the Americas. So you'll find various places outside of Ghana as well. And a very deep way of thinking about the world. When we came across it, we were making a film about a woman an African American, who goes back to her past to experience and understand her past via slavery. So I don't want to tell you the whole thing. Sorry. Everybody checks their pockets. But she goes back to her past via the slave castles or slave dungeons on the coast of Ghana. And she relives something that happened during that past. And that's all I want to tell you. So Sankofa and the Sankofa bird, some of the other symbolisms involved in that sense, that way of looking at your future and your past, are embedded all throughout that movie. And so the principle in that movie is the sense of resistance and Black people fighting back and Black people populating. Because there was such a void when it comes to looking at us as fighters during the slave era, Sankofa had an amazing acceptance. And because we made the movie ourselves, we didn't, it was all Black, written by us, produced by us. Casted, no white hero, no white producer. We ended up having to distribute it ourselves too. We have a distribution company that we thought that a larger company could do better than distribution wise. So we distributed it ourselves, but in that process we scooped up the community. Like when you do cornrow, you scoop up a little more hair, you scoop up a little more hair, you have
I like that analogy.
long cornrow by the time you finish. That's kind of the way that Sankofa did, because in the process of self-distributing, we used and planted more roots in the Black community for cinema, for Black cinema. Because they then, people who wanted to see a film like that, made sure it was seen. So we created this really wonderful network in that process in various cities across the country. It was a distribution opportunity, which is very rare for any film. And people embraced it, and they claimed it, and they said that we're going to show this movie. And they would bring busloads of kids, to churches, to make sure they saw it. And I don't know, it has to do with the way that it undermined the sense of submission that we submitted during slavery, that our destiny was in somebody else's hands, that we allowed it, people say this sometimes, we allowed it to happen just completely untenable. After the fight that we went through to make sure that slavery ended, to hear a young person who's here because we fought back, to be able to say we allowed it to happen, it's just deflating to the spirit. So Sankofa contests all that, and I think that people needed to see that. And that has to do with why they embraced it to the extent that they did. So when we after that distribution process, we realized we needed a place to sell. We always wanted to have a place to push our films and other films by Black people or people of color. So we created a distribution company, of course, and that company needed a larger place. We were in our basement. We had a little office, and then we had the bright idea of buying a building on Georgia Avenue across from where we were teaching at the time in Howard. And that's how we got here. We decided to sell books and movies.
Can that film be still found? Or I actually want to see it.
Yes, it can still be found. We are out of DVDs in town,
Okay.
which is also not acceptable. But we are. We're going to recolor the DVD and do a couple of other things to it. And we'll have duplicates soon.
Okay.
It's usually the best seller in the store.
Well, let us know. We can broadcast it on our show. We can broadcast it on our blogs.
Well, we hope that people don't broadcast it on the internet because that means we don't get any money to make the next movie.
Oh no, I mean like the promotion to tell
Oh,
them to
yeah,
like.
it's available now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, so what's the best part of you really running your own company started from scratch? What would be your best memory from
The best memory?
Well, not memory. What's just the best thing overall about being able to do this?
The best part about it is that I like what I do. And that sounds stereotypical or cliche, but I really do like what I do. And that part is very, very important for me right now because I have friends, for example, who see what's going on in the world. They see, our kids, facing a hostile police department. They see our kids in school systems that think of the boys as aggressive at 2 and 3 and 4 years old, don't know how to handle them, flooding in teachers that don't know anything about the Black community. They see, our vulnerability and how we're taking advantage of this era. And they go home and they have nothing to fight. They haven't developed a way to fight back. So when I hear about those things, I just think, okay, what am I going to do today at the store? How am I going to get this speaker? How am I going to get these books? How am I going to encourage blah, blah, blah? What display do I have? So I feel like I have a place to fight back and keep my focus. Because the friends that I have that don't have that outlet, it's debilitating. You watch things happen and you don't have a way to do something about it. You have to develop a way to do something about it because otherwise you're either going to close your eyes to it and pretend like it's not happening, which we're also very good at, or you're going to let it debilitate you and wait for some larger organizing body to come along and maybe you'll get on board. But what about when there's no large organizing body and there's no movement? Do you just vegetate in your house and divert your attention to move furniture? You gotta have a way out. And I think you guys, for example, you have a blog. Even if it's a blog, do something. Have a place for people to speak. I'm always encouraging my daughter. One of them is a teacher. She's taken the hits in schools and she loves the kids, but she sees what's going on. And a system that has got the famous idea. Making sure that they are the human beings that they should be. And it's killing her. And so, she needs a way to, she sees what she's doing with the kids, she sees the results, the impact of her life on these children. So that's rewarding, yes. But the ones that she's missing because the system doesn't care are the ones, that's what drives her. So you got to have a way to fight back. That's why I love Sankofa.
So, what advice would you have for other entrepreneurs that are trying to get started? If you can give them any piece of advice, whether it's planning, financial, purpose.
You learned a lot along the way. I was just listening. You learned publishing everything. You taught yourself all the business, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure I've learned it. I feel like we're reinventing a lot of it.
Right.
Reinventing a lot. But the little bit that I've learned, yeah, I put to good use. What would I recommend to other entrepreneurs? I would just say, know, I know this sounds like what everybody says. Do something that you love and make sure you get something out of it. Make sure that you like the population that you're serving. And make sure that you hear and listen to, you know, the pulse of that population. And incorporate them and make them organic, you know, to what you do. That's easy for us because it's the design of the bookstore. You ask for a book, what are you reading, blah, blah. And then half the time the customers that or students that come through here that work, you know, we always have something for them to do. We're always making movies, so we're always, you know, students that come in that are interested in some aspect of movie making, we sometimes can incorporate them. So I would just say to do what you like to do, and if you can have capital, good. We've never had capital.
Right. I was listening to you found another way, but a lot of people don't know you can actually do that. Go on credit, like the way you went on credit, you got the books to start up. A lot of people aren't thinking like that. I think we have to have a lot of money to get started.
They think you have to have a lot of money to get started, right? And even when we bought the building, I was like, you know, saying to my husband, look, here are the numbers. I'm not sure we're going to be able to have this revenue stream. We'll keep up with the numbers. And he says, don't look at the numbers.
That's good advice though. In a sense, it's good advice because it's like when you find something that you're passionate about, you're going to find a way. You don't always know how you do what you're going to do.
Yeah. And he was just passionate. He says the numbers will discourage you. Don't look at the numbers. And I'm like, what do you mean? Don't look at the numbers. And he said nothing will ever get done if you just look at the numbers. Your dreams will never come true. So, you know, here we are. The numbers still don't match.
But it's working.
It's working. Something's working. You know, I can't say that we are always in the black. Our daily operational mechanism is in the hands of our clerks. And our clerks are somebody came in the other day and said, oh, you get a business. I know labor is the most biggest headache you have is that, you know, they're always stealing and they never get caught. We don't have that problem. We rely completely on our clerks. There are eyes, there are ears, there are gauges, our thermometers, everything is in their hands. And we just had a meeting today, for example. So I could, you know, we can tell each other what's going on, what's missing, and everybody's not going to try to work at a bookstore, a black bookstore. Somebody that wants to apply, you think, well, there must be something about them that makes them be attracted to literature, to the word, to writing, to thought. And once you find those people, you're liable to find those who are committed to the idea. And it shows. It shows very much. But, you know, it's just part of the kind of family atmosphere that we try to create from the front door to the back door, the whole thing, the top and the bottom. And so maybe that's I don't know if there's any advice in there.
Well, that's advice. Building a company where people are actually passionate about what you're doing, because they're actually excited to be here, and they're going to put in that effort to make sure everything works.
Yeah.
Most people, when you hire and you just hiring to hire, they're from their credentials, so they might just be there for money. But you have to have people who care about this. Like you said, when they applied, they kind of knew it was a black literature type store, and they want to be a part of that. So that is good advice. Build a company where people are excited about literature.
The outcome, right?
Right.
They have an investment. They see themselves in it. And I think one thing that comes from being around here is that it's a place where you can grow. So you see that you're growing. Because I can't, you know, we're not competitive in terms of wages. Bookstores are not competitive at all, ever. But I think people who connect with us see the capacity either in the bookstore aspect of what we do or in the filmmaking aspect of what we do. And so I hope that's something that we have to offer too.
So do you have any promotions or anything going on for this book? We definitely want everybody to come visit.
So do we have any promotions? You know, I just finished a film called Footprints of Pan-Africanism. And it's a documentary film on the relationship between Africans in the diaspora, meaning us, and the independence movement of Africa. So, how people like Kwame Nkrumah, for example, the first president of Ghana, back in Ghana again, and W.E.B. Du Bois, you know, people like that work together to create this Pan-African dream of freedom. And how people like Martin Luther King, you know, went to Ghana and saw that independence and came back and said, you know, they were free at last. They were free at last. They were shouting from rafters, free at last. And it was after the Montgomery bus boycott, so he was so filled with inspiration when he came back. It rejuvenated him to come back and fight for it. So you just see the relationship between Africa, efforts to be free, and the diaspora efforts to be free, and how they were really interested, and still are. But how during that period especially, people had like-mindedness. So that's a moment in history I didn't want to be forgotten. And that's going to be premiered on Howard's campus March 4th.
Oh, wow. Okay, so March 4th, Howard University campus. What's the name of the movie?
Footprints of Pan-Africanism.
Footprints of
Pan-Africanism.
Pan-Africanism.
It's free.
Yes, and it's free. College students love free stuff.
So they all know about Crampton Auditorium. That's Howard's auditorium. So look around, take your time, read, stay in touch, and keep it up.
We'll definitely come back. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was an amazing interview. Oh my God.
Thank you very much. Keep it up.
Okay.
So thank you for tuning in to Dear Entrepreneur.
And make sure you check out Sankofa on 2714 Northwest Washington, D.C.
And we'll see you next episode.
Make sure you subscribe.